From full-blown beefs that shook the entire music industry.
On my album, 50 helped me just a little bit, only on 2 songs, now back to some killer shit.
To brutal tracks that had everybody talking.
You was down with the AK, and now I see you on a video with Michelin, looking like straight Bozo.
These are the craziest diss tracks of all time, starting when Drake went all out for Meek Mill with Back to Back.
Make sure you hit him with the prenup. Then tell that man to ease up. I did another one. You still ain't did shit about the other one.
Now this all went down because Meek Mill posted on X a social media accusing Drake of using ghostwriters. Now if y'all know hip-hop, that's basically saying, yo G, you didn't cook this, you just plated it. Now that accusation sounded like a death sentence, and nobody really knew how serious Drake was about to take this. Okay, so instead of dragging things out with interviews, Drake responded in the most direct way possible by dropping diss tracks. While he released more than one, Back to Back became the track that really defined the entire clash. Now what made it stand out wasn't just what he said, but how he said it. He sounded like the whole situation was a piece of cake for him, going so far as to mock Meek and question his relevance. Now worst of all, he delivered everything over a beat that people could actually enjoy at a party. Now that was disrespectful on a whole different level. But what really made this situation wild was what happened after the song dropped. See, the track received massive airplay and even got a Grammy nomination. But just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get more uncomfortable for Meek, the song took off and people were even dancing to a song aimed at him. Drake didn't just turn a serious accusation into a public entertainment piece, he put Meek in a position where every delay in response made him look stupid. Now Drake might have found a way to turn a diss into something people could celebrate, but Nas took it way more personal and got way more aggressive.
What?
Fuck Jay-Z.
You been on my dick, nigga. You love my style, nigga.
Alright, targeting Jay-Z was personal for Nas because he'd already taken direct shots at him in Takeover, questioning his consistency and saying that his best work was behind him. Now the surprising thing is this wasn't just any artist, man. This was Jay-Z, so the pressure was already super high. That was a big blow and everybody was waiting to see if Nas would respond or just let it all slide. Yo, when Nas fired back with Ether, he went straight for Jay-Z's jugular with an aggressive attack that made it clear he was aiming to dominate the situation completely. Yo, the moment that song dropped, hell was let loose on Jay-Z. Man, Nas targeted his credibility in the industry, delivering lines that made the track feel personal from start to finish. Yo, and the impact of all that? It hit hard that fans and listeners quickly reacted to how direct and fearless the song was. Now that shifted the momentum of the rivalry in Nas's favor. Like y'all can literally hear people reacting in real time when they first listened to it. Now over time, the track became even more popular because it introduced the term ether, which people began using to describe completely dominating somebody in a lyrical battle. Now if y'all thought that was intense, then y'all haven't seen the whole Pusha T thing, who took things to a completely different level.
A Steve Harvey suit nigga made him. Confused, always felt you weren't black enough. Afraid to grow it cause your fro wouldn't nap enough. Since you name dropped my fiance.
Alright, Drake made the biggest mistake ever by taking shots at Pusha T at Duppy Freestyle. Now that track was so sharp and competitive that it didn't prepare listeners for what was about to follow. And to be honest, Duppy Freestyle was already hitting pretty hard and should have been enough to shut Pusha T's mouth forever. But because of how bad it was, Pusha T responded unexpectedly with a story of a deed-in. Now he said something nobody saw coming. Now in the track, he revealed that Drake had a son that he had not publicly acknowledged at the time. And when that line dropped, it changed everything about the conversation. The focus moved away from music into real life. Fans and media outlets began discussing the claim across different platforms. It was super clear that things wasn't going to end well for Drake when the cover art of the track added even more attention. Yeah, that attention featured a controversial image that sparked even more debates. When Drake saw that he was toast, he quickly folded and addressed the situation. He publicly confirmed the existence of his kid, which gave even more weight to the diss. Now that made the whole situation more legit and shifted the conversation away from who had the better bars to what was actually true. Make sure y'all hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos. Let's get back to it. Alright, you cannot talk about diss tracks without talking about the game, because he didn't just respond with 1 or 2 punches, he went all out and said everything that he'd been holding back.
Bitches only feel your shit just a little bit. Niggas only feel your shit just a little bit. On my album, 50 helped me just a little bit. Only on 2 songs. Now back to some killer shit.
Alright, so after several disagreements, the Game decided to part ways with 50 Cent and arrested G-Unit peacefully. Now, at first, y'all would think that both sides would have just moving on quietly without drama. But instead of keeping things that way, Game acted in a way that made sure his voice would be heard for a long time. Now, what really made this track stand out wasn't just who he was dissing, it was the fact that he released 300 bars and running, delivering a stream of criticism aimed at several people. Now, unlike a typical diss track that focuses on one person and one idea, this one kept on switching flows and addressing different individuals while maintaining intensity. But something else hit home about the track because of how serious the situation had become. Alright, here's the reality. Maintaining energy across large tracks, it ain't easy. But for every point when it felt like the track should be wrapping up, the Game managed to keep the focus and aggression steady. The link to that track became part of his identity, showing just how much he had to say and how determined he was to respond to everything all at once. But despite that level of intensity, No Vaseline by Ice Cube, it still stands a cut above the rest because of how raw, direct, and absolutely unapologetic it was.
Goddamn, I'm glad y'all set it off. Used to be hard, now you're just ready. First you was down with the AK. And now I see you on a video with Mission Lake, looking like straight clothes.
Alright, so Ice Cube left NWA due to financial disputes and disagreements with management. And when money issues enter the chat, things usually don't end up too well for nobody. And once things got to that point, there was no coming back quietly. Okay, so once Cube went his own way, the group took shots at him in their music, which eventually led to one of the most direct responses in hip-hop history. Now, what made this hit so differently wasn't just the lyrics. So by the time he responded, you already knew that it wasn't going to be friendly. Now, popping off in No Vaseline, Ice Cube responded without holding anything back. He addressed multiple members individually and made his frustrations clear. The track was so direct that it went straight into confrontation, with lines that are direct and leaving no room for confusion about how the man felt and why. As time went on, the emotional weight behind the song was one of the reasons that it lasted. It reflected real tension rather than just performance. But just when people thought he'd already said enough, Cube continued to press the issue with even more direct statements, making sure that every point was fully delivered and heard. Yeah, for Cube, this wasn't just about winning a battle. It was about addressing a situation that had been building up for a long time. Alright, each of these diss tracks shows a different way the artists handle conflict in their business. And they show how diss tracks can go beyond music and become moments that shape perception and influence conversations across the entire industry. So which one caught you by surprise? Which one did you like the most? Let us know in the comment section down below, and we'll see you next time.